All right. So welcome to the first Open Studio of 2023. It's just kind of bittersweet as we are preparing for our transition. Most of us who have been building in alt space for a long time will be transitioning to different parts of the metaverse. And so we're going to have some time for us to go through and, share our feelings about the news that AltSpace is sunsetting the platform, but we're also going to look forward into the future with our hopes and our dreams, because the metaverse is a big place and we don't need to stay in one of them. Somebody texted me earlier and said that we were digital nomads now, and it feels about right. We we don't have an official home, but we're kind of traversing the metaverse, and maybe we'll find a home that fits our individual personalities. So I do want to say thank you to Armani, our co-host. He was able to contact one of his friends, Joker, which is up here in the corner. Andy is the leader of VRC Prefabs, which is one of the first websites that I found when I was looking for VRChat content to help me with my world building over in VRChat. So I'm going to hand the microphone to Andy, and he's going to introduce himself. He's going to help us out a little bit today.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I think I'm audible. Thank you. Thank you, RC. Yeah, awesome. So awesome to be here. Great to meet most of you. I've interacted with the AltSpace community a good bit, not as regularly as VRChat, but good to see at least a couple of familiar faces. So yeah, I'm here representing. I'm here as somebody who's been a world builder in VRChat for the last couple of years. I've got experience with all the quirks and fun stuff, and also just as a citizen of the social VR metaverse. Before I was building stuff and participating in the community in VRChat, I was over at Rec Room starting between 2018 and 2020. So I've been around. I've been on multiple platforms. I've seen I've seen in a sort of high level way, in an abstract way, what this space is like. But yeah, so with the news that AltSpace is sunsetting, I'm here to offer support on a personal level, but also as a representative of the VRC prefabs community. I'm not just to put it out there. I work with the leadership of prefabs. I'm not the leader. I've been given the role and responsibility of outreach to other communities to sort of represent prefabs and let people know what we do and be a contact point. Their leadership is some other folks who are very helpful, nice people, who some of you I'm sure will meet eventually. But yeah, I'm here. This is a mixed moment. It's sad and frustrating, I'm sure, for a lot of you, but at the same time, a little bit of an exciting opportunity for the VRChat community is. As far as my attitude is concerned, because VRChat doesn't have a lot of really good dedicated creators of content for the Oculus Quest. It's mostly PC focused people who kind of don't really have enough motivation, don't really know enough people in the communities of Quest users to be motivated to create good content. But that's what AltSpace is all about, right? AltSpace's ethos was always cross-platform, and that's a big deal. That's a really important thing. So yeah, I'm here to be a point of contact and to offer support and to let you know that the VRC prefabs community offers its support. Thanks to I think Daisy and the others who created the AltSpaces and VRChat Discord. I'm connecting up with that. I'm making sure that our community is connected up with that Discord. So let me see, I have some things written down I want to make sure I get to. I'm excited that you guys are, what you're organizing. That's that's so good. That's so good for you all that you have some direction. And like I fully support that. And I want to, like, my goal is basically just to have a relationship with the community that you guys are forming right now. So yeah, it's exciting that so many of you folks are not getting started from zero. You got experience in Unity, you got experience with Blender. You know the tools. You have questions about how to cross that bridge, and like that's the thing we're here to support. I will say, I mean, I don't want to ramble too much about. Look, there's so many parts of the community.
You're doing great.
As I know,
You're doing great.
There's so many parts of the alt space community that are going to translate. I think to the extent that you want to translate them into VRChat, I think will translate really well. A great example is I'll go ahead and say I was a little bit connected with the Star Trek community. For those of you that know it, there's at least one or two role play groups of Star Trek enthusiasts in the alt space community, and I was connected to them because I'm a nerd. And the VRChat likewise has its own community, and I just yesterday, like amid the fray, I made sure and connect those people up and say, look, like, you're not alone. You've got a place where you can, if you still want to be in VR and hang out and nerd out with other Trek lovers, you can do that. And VRChat's got a lot of spaces for exactly that in lots of other communities. The one I'm going to make sure and shout out, I was already talking about a little earlier, was the music community. I've been to Club Premiere. I've been to other couple of clubs in alt space. I love it. Love what you guys are doing. I love that it's a place for Quest users to go and have that community and experience the art, and celebrate the people and the artists who are creating. VRChat's got some of that too, but not in exactly the same way. And I'm excited to be a resource to link up to that community. I've got lots of connections. I know the DJs, I know the venue operators. So what I'm really hoping for above anything else, honestly, is for someone to come in and say, look, like we had our venues in alt space. We can set them up in VRChat now. Maybe not just in VRChat, maybe in other platforms too. But to the extent you want to set up in VRChat, I'm here to help. Like particularly, like actually come to me directly on that one, because I definitely want to help on that stuff. But yeah, I know this isn't all about VRChat. That's just where I'm coming from. I know there's other, as this is happening in alt space. I know there's other destinations you guys have got. There's Meta Horizon, Rec Room, my sort of alma mater, is another good space. I expect you guys are going to branch out, and that's good. You know what your needs are. I'm excited for all of you to do that. But to the extent that VRChat's the space where you're looking for support and help, that's me. That's VRC Prefabs. I'm this close to reach out to. So please feel free. And yeah, that's all I got for now.
Andy.
Elijah,
Thank you for the time.
Oh. All right. So thank you so much. Nice to have you here. That was really sweet of you guys to invite us in with open arms. I know that a lot of people are feeling mixed emotions, and I want to open the floor for my world builders to express themselves about what the big news that was released yesterday. So whether you want to share something in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and come on mic and let us know how you feel. I'm just going to leave some space for you guys to do that right now. Do remember, this is being recorded. This is going on my YouTube channel for further people to be able to learn. And so just please be respectful. Just know that it's being recorded. I'll give you guys some time to raise your hand. If you go at the reactions at the bottom and hit the triangle, then you'll see reactions, and then you can raise your hand, and that'll put you at the front. So go ahead, Major.
Hey, Art, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. First, thank you for doing this, obviously. And Andy, thank you so much. I want to echo what Artsy was saying. Thank you for being willing to kind of embrace us and help bring us in. I know one of the concerns, I don't speak as a world builder, so I want to say mine quick and then get out of the way so the true world builders can talk. But as an events person, a person that puts on events, you know, a representative from Club Premier, yeah, we want to make sure that we continue those experiences. And a lot of people have doubts that experiences and events can happen over in those spaces. So personally, I would love to, you know, connect and link up with you so maybe you can guide us through that process. But even more so, my attitude about everything is, yeah, of course, there's part of me that feels bad that, you know, the place that I call my home and met a lot of my close friends is going away. But I'd be lying if I said I'm not excited about the possibilities and, you know, the opportunities. And especially for, you know, world builders. I figure, like, you know, we can't do, as event people, we can't do what we do without world builders providing those homes and those spaces for us. So I really am just kind of excited and open to explore. So Andy, I guess I want to end it with a question, man. Is there maybe other folks that you can point us out to, or directions, or people that, is it a possibility to connect up with others to kind of see how you all are already doing it, so maybe we can integrate some of our stylings and methodologies into that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Depending on exactly what you're thinking. Yeah, I know lots of folks. I mean, this is, I don't know how I got started doing this, but I know lots of folks in of all levels of different communities, on the technical side, on the organizer side. Like, you know, I'll throw out an example. One of my favorite examples, just last night, I was at an event called Hip Hop Day at Magenta. I know the organizer who's setting up, you know, who's recruiting DJs. I know all the DJs. Last night was a dance battle. I know all the dancers. On a technical level, I know the world creator, and I know a lot of the world stuff. So just, you know, if you want to see, if you want to get connected up with them, or, I mean, maybe somebody else, depending on, like, you know, who's available to talk to, like, yeah, I know those people. Just reach out and talk to me about what you're thinking about, what you need. And, you know, hopefully a flag will go up in my head somewhere of like, oh yeah, this person will be the person to talk to. That's exactly what I'm here for.
Awesome. Thank you.
Joker, Major is actually the voice of Club Premier. So every
Club
Thursday,
Premier. That's right. Yep.
He's the
Yep.
host. Yeah.
I've been there. I heard him. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. All right. I always get your name wrong. I'll always say it wrong. I'll call you TJ. TJ, you go ahead. It's kind of hard to hear you.
Is this better?
A little bit.
Oh, I apologize for my phone.
All right. That's better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's what the TJ is for, because that's what I really go by. It's Tunisia, like the country, if you guys want to know how to pronounce it. But most of you know me as Mystic Spirit. I am sad to see Altspace go, but I'm excited about the new opportunities. I know it just means I have to meet everybody all over again. But one thing I'm good at is introducing myself. So I just will take this opportunity, I guess, to do like I've been doing. If you see me, I'm already in VR and Spatial and as Mystic, even though I never really spend as much time as I did in Altspace. I'm going to miss arguing with people about Altspace being the better metaverse. But like I said, I'm excited to see what Microsoft does with Mesh and to see the other companies step up their game. Because if we complain, they're going to build it. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Let's go to Jamel.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. And for those I didn't get a chance to say, Happy New Year. First of all, I want to thank RT for, hosting this space today. I really appreciate that. I feel some kind of way today. I'm being honest with you. For someone, first of all, I want to just thank Andy as well. With your presentation and, just kind of guiding us and, just telling us the possibilities on other platforms, VRChat and other platforms, and, helping us with that transition. Because we're definitely going to need that. I wish more people was actually on this platform to be able to hear what's going on. I suspect that a lot of people doesn't know that Altspace is being sunsetted. This will be my second sunset. I've been with Altspace, you know, for quite some time. I think it was 2015, 2016, when Altspace first came to Samsung. It came to Samsung VR. And I remember I remember when they sunsetted on that particular platform. At that particular time, the first Quest VR headset was out. They migrated over to that particular platform. That meant that we had to, you know, actually migrate with it, you know, and we could no longer use the Samsung VR chat, and we had to transform over to Quest. And it feels like the same way, you know, to be honest with you. And for someone who have, you know, I've had great relationships and met many interesting people, many great people in alt space. And, you know, and to hear once again that is being sunset, it really broke my heart, because in between that time, from going from Samsung VR to Quest VR, I think it took me like about a year and a half, 2 years. And some of that was, you know, um, I don't even know how to explain it. Just, you know, I felt some kind of way, like I said, you know, and I do have a couple of questions with Andy, you know, for Andy, you know, because we all on Meta's platform, right? VR chat is just similar to Altspace.
Oh, you got muted. You might have had a phone call, maybe. We'll give you a second to come back. There you go.
I want to ask, you know, how do you feel like, you know,
You got muted again. All right, we'll give you a second. It keeps muting you. All right, let's keep the queue moving. If you guys have anything else, anybody else want to say anything, make sure you raise your hand. After this segment, we are going to go into getting you guys onboarded to some different places and kind of best practices for moving your existing Unity scenes into other projects. What's up, Barry?
Yeah, I just share my interest. I mean, first of all, I'm coming up to 85 years of age, so I'm a really old guy. But I've been working for a number of years with people with dementia and particularly children with autism, and I'm getting back into that. So, if there's anybody who has some useful information in those two areas, because dementia is certainly is growing with a growing senior population, and autism, I'm told, is growing as well. So, if you've got any specialized knowledge, or you're using any of these techniques in those areas, then I'd love to hear from you. And I'm a retired architect, so I'm sort of I was a world builder way back, but this is a whole new way of dealing with it.
Awesome. We'll definitely help out where we can. I don't have any experience, but maybe somebody else can drop in the chat if they do. We can get you some help there.
Okay.
Joker, did you have something?
I was kind of put in chat, but yeah, the nearest thing that comes to mind, VRChat has at least, I guess, something of a community for people with disabilities. At the one that comes to mind that a lot of people know about is the people with deafness or hard of hearing. In like communicating using like a sign language, that I think is one smaller part of a larger community for people with disabilities. So that exists, and I could probably get you contacts to the extent that there is there are technical developments that support those people, which there are. There's a lot of avatar because there's a lot of functionality and avatars in VRChat. So for communication, for people who don't speak, there's some of that, and I'd be glad to get you connected up with some folks who could get you started.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's go on to Nicole.
Oh, oops. Hi. I am happy to be here. Hey. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody. Wow, Artsy, this is awesome. I have not had an opportunity to tap in for a few different reasons, but I am a lover of all things VR, all things metaverse, and to hear the news, I suspected the news 2 years ago, but to hear the news has become reality. I think it's tragic for all the people who have spent a lot of time and have a lot of great memories there. I'm a gamer, so I've had this happen before. And I think that my message, I spent a lot of time talking to people about the metaverse and how to make ways into the metaverse and what it feels like to be there and their fears and things like that. But to see it happen, I'm sad. You know, it's one of those things that it just sucks, but this is what happens. And so there is an alternative, and that alternative is Web3. So places like Spatial are what I call Web 2.5, but they're, you know, places that allow you to keep your assets and own them. And so if you don't know about that, definitely tap in because there are options that are available that are helpful. So my heart goes out to everybody. Hopefully the communities still find ways and places to meet up. There's a whole lot out there, a whole lot. So get involved, and if you're not, definitely sync up with some folks who are, and keep building. That's the important thing for the metaverse. Keep building, because we need you guys a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. We're definitely going over Spatial. I think it's a great platform. You know, and there's some other ones coming up. You know, I'm gonna talk to the guy at Let's Connect VR. He's got some great stuff going on for our community as well. Let's go to Youssef. Did we lose you, Youssef?
No, we got, here we go, right
Okay.
there. Hey
All right.
guys. Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Artsy, and thank you for just having this, to continue having this forum, number one. Number two, I see a lot of faces that I don't normally see when you have this session that are on AltSpace, and I'm glad to see you guys here as well. And the reason why I'm glad to see you here is because I made a post in on Facebook, in one of the Facebook groups, about preserving the memories that have been created in AltSpace. So for those people who do know me, I am a world builder, but I find more enjoyment in capturing moments in the content that have been created in the spaces. So I implore you all, if you have any moments, any great moments, things like that have been created in AltSpace, hit me up. I'll send you my particulars, you know, through a text or whatnot, so we can preserve these moments. I agree that the web is ever changing. We're going to be moving to different platforms, but let's not discount the magic that was created in AltSpace, and we should not forget that, and it should be preserved. So for all those people that are listening, I see Major on, I see Sasha, you know, people who are in these spaces, people who have set their headsets to record. Link with me so we can put something together with the preservation, you know, of the culture that was created in the digital space. Thank you.
Thanks, Youssef. I'll definitely take you up on that offer. Nicole said mint them on the blockchain. We'll have to have another session with you, Nicole, get us oriented to Web3. Let's go to Shay.
Hi, Artsy.
Hey.
Thank you, Artsy and Joker, for having this session. And I'm just saying, I'm very shocked by the news too, because I spent a lot of time in AltSpace, and I just completed one of those Unity courses, the advanced Unity course at the IIE school. in all space. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like surprising to me because I was like looking to building in there. But I also want to say, when he was talking about the autism, I have a son with autism. He's 19 years old. I just bought him a headset. And he doesn't really have much interest in it, but there's another metaverse called the multiverse. And I spent a lot of time in there. It's the first metaverse that I spent in there. And there's a lady who made a sensory room for autism kids. Like she have like a whole big room with different things for people that have kids with autism or people that have autism. They can go in there and watch videos and do all sorts of things. Like she has all these different rooms. It's in the multiverse though. Infiniverse, if anybody know that metaverse.
Great.
Yeah. I put it in the chat.
Thank you, Shay, for sharing. Is there anybody else that would like to share before we move on? There's probably been some posts that I missed. I took a break from social media. Too many opinions flying around. Go ahead, Trey.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I know how Andy, you said was talking about VRChat in regards to VRChat. So in the real life, one thing I've always struggled with, and sometimes I ain't always struggled with it, but it's like a struggle for me. But I wear hearing aids in real life. And so I read lips a lot. And does VRChat have the captions? The word like
Yeah, like
text to speech, speech to text.
speech to text. I'm not certain on this one, but I'm gonna say probably yeah. Regardless, whatever the technology is, like there's a whole community who has needs and has that kind of has received some kind of support. I'm not close enough to know the details, but like there's something out there that you could use for sure. And I can get you linked up. And I've been saying in chat, for anybody who wants to contact me, the easiest way is Discord. Daisy's Discord. I'm very active on Discord, like every minute of every day. I did also drop my email address in the chat. So if you want to reach out after, that's the best way. And also, you'll probably run into me in VR and VRChat as well if you're coming to the VRChat.
Discord?
Just look for Joker. As far as I know, I'm the only Joker. More specifically, it says Joker is punk. But yeah, you can just if you know how to use Discord, just go into a channel and do an at Joker, and it'll pop up somewhere. I'll also put in my name. But yeah, we can speech to text. I know there's definitely yeah, I think there's some speech to text because something you'll see pretty commonly is people who hang out in the community in VRChat, and they for whatever reason they don't speak, they choose not to speak, they have difficulty, or they don't speak over the microphone at least, but they'll speak in real life, and that does speech to text, translates it, uses some cool tech, and then displays it in a speech bubble automatically above their avatar. It's so cool to see. So yeah, there's the technology is at least partway there that I've seen.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Trey. All right, we'll do one last round. If anybody wants to raise their hand, share anything. I will say that when I found out, I definitely had to go through a grieving stage, and I had to do it by myself, unfortunately, because I couldn't talk to anybody about it. And it was, I feel like I went through all the stages, but what really broke my heart was that, I wasn't sure how everybody else was going to react. And, I had to do a lot of preparation to get to the point where when yesterday happened, that I wasn't, super overwhelmed. And so I definitely, you know, AltSpace is the first platform that I'd gone to after traveling to different platforms that I really felt at home. And it's where I started my career as a world builder. And so it was really hard at first to to grasp what was going on, but you know, I quickly transitioned into that feeling of excitement, and that's when I really started diving in to VRChat and Spatial, and thankfully Spatial, you know, had just came out with their Unity SDK, and I was able to get started with that. But you know, one of my main priorities as a world builder, and having built so many worlds, is that I don't leave anybody behind, because it is difficult to learn in these platforms. I've had individual sessions with a lot of you, and I see what you guys go through, and I have more time on my hands than most people, although it seems like I'm incredibly busy. But I put in all of this work for the past month, day and night, to make sure that I knew enough to give to you guys today. So I don't want to get emotional because I love you guys. And I really care that you guys succeed in all of these different places. So yeah, I'm glad to see that we have a full room. We've got 36 people in here. And I'm gonna help you guys get onboarded. So let's do a quick poll. If you guys can use your emojis, we're gonna do a clapping hands emoji if you have already started learning how to upload your worlds into Spatial. Okay. Not too many. All right. Let's do another round of clapping emojis if you have learned even a little bit of uploading your worlds into VRChat. Okay, so we have more VRChat than Spatial. That's good. All right, so let's do another round of emojis, hand claps, if you have started moving your stuff over to any other metaverse other than Spatial or VRChat. All right, so we got Jay. Which platforms have you been on?
I've been checking out Banter and Hubs. So the A-frame based ones.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so there's if you're in my group, you've probably seen the metaverse comparison chart that I did, that has several, I think there's maybe what, 12, 13 different metaverses on there. Some of which are in the Web3 space, that utilize specifically NFTs, and cryptocurrency. And then there's the other side that is not yet on the blockchain. You know, you can really pick as many of you as you want to learn. You know, I think it's great to learn all of these different platforms. Some that are on the web that use A-frame require you to do different steps. They don't particularly use Unity, but they use Blender to upload content as GLBs, or you know, any of the other 3D modeling programs that can convert into GLBs or GLTF. But I picked Spatial and VRChat to go through today, specifically because most of us are converting from AltSpace where we use Unity. And so as to not overwhelm everybody in the light of this news, I found that Spatial is a great platform for people who are throwing events that need a wide range of accessibility. So it's available on browser, it's available on VR, and it's also available on mobile devices using an app. And Spatial looks great on all 3 devices. It's, you upload one world and it looks the same on all 3. And so it's an easier shot because they use URP render pipeline, which we use in AltSpace. Spatial uses that as well. So there's no conversion of materials that you have to do on that side. So on the other side, we have VRChat, which I believe has the best immersive VR platform because it is so expansive with their Udon scripting. It allows for us to really advance our worlds in a type of way that we didn't have access to in AltSpace. So I'm very excited to be on that side of the metaverse. So my customers are split into right now. Half of them want to go to VRChat and half of them want to go to Spatial and try that out. So I imagine your clients will feel the same way. So that's where we're going to start. Armani put a Google Doc and he can put it in the chat. He made a Google Doc for any questions that you guys might have. If you want to, go over specific things, you can put them in this document. He just dropped it in the chat, or you can drop them in the chat yourself, although it could get lost. But make sure you put your questions down so I don't forget to go over anything. And then we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with Spatial. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, so if you have an existing project that you've already started on, I'm going to open up Unity here. And if you guys recognize this template, this is the community loft that I released last year. And so let's say I want to take this from AltSpace into Spatial. What I would want to do, and this is part organization, you can go into your Unity projects and then you can find your Unity scene file. So my scene for this one is called Loft. And you'll see the scene icon here. If I right click on it and I export package, it's going to pull up all of the dependencies or all of the materials and the textures that's needed to recreate this scene in another version of Unity. And so make sure that you have include dependencies. And this is how we're going to make our own Unity package. So I'm going to click on export. And then I'm going to go to a folder specified on my computer. And, it would definitely be beneficial for you guys to start getting organized with where you want to put things. I have a folder called Unity Scene Files. And this is where I'm going to put my packages. All right, so I'm going to put my Unity Loft package into my Unity Scenes folder on my computer. Now with Spatial, you have the Spatial Creator Toolkit right here. You can get to it from Spatial's main website if you're not familiar. Spatial.io. And then you can scroll all the way to the bottom and go to support or creator toolkit. The creator toolkit is open for anybody to download and test their worlds, but you do still have to go to publishing to Spatial and apply for a creator toolkit publishing. You have to go through this application. So after you go through this application, they will send you an email to let you know that you've been approved. And then that's when you can actually publish your world to be public on the platform. or basically your template. So after you download their actual starter template, you'll see it right here. They're using 2021.3.8 F1. And if you don't have that installed, you can copy and paste it up here, and then download it from the Unity download archive. And so make sure you go to 2021.3.8. And so you can install it through your Unity Hub here, and then it's going to open up Unity Hub in the installs, and you'll be able to install it. Make sure you add all of the necessary components, just like we did in AltSpace. But make sure you hit the iOS and the Mac and the WebGL. So all of these right here are the ones that you want to, the components that you want to install. They also have them listed down here as well. So you download the starter template, and the starter template is just a zip file. And so I'm going to take you to mine. I have a folder called Spatial. So this is the main starter template right here. And so all you need to do is right click on it and extract. It might take a while for it to extract, but basically you're going to be left with like the assets folder, the library folder, and the project settings. And that's what we're going to use in Unity Hub to start that project. All right, so here it is right here. It's going to come into like a subfolder, and you just need to click on that subfolder. This is the one that contains the assets, packages, and project settings. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to rename this Community Loft Spatial. Now, Spatial does allow us to import multiple scenes and manage multiple scenes, but I'm just going to show you the first one. All right, so now I can go to Unity Hub. I can go to Open. And then on my computer, I'm going to find my Spatial folder and the Community Loft folder. And once I see assets, packages, and project settings, I'm going to click Open. And now Unity is going to install everything else that this package needs to open. Up to this point, does anybody have any questions?
I just want to make a quick note about if you guys ever want to use the Spatial starter pack that they're offering you, be very careful because whoever created the package wasn't really careful about the size of the assets. Like 4 trees that I got from the asset added like 250 vertices to my scene. So be very careful. I would use just the lighting. The lighting is great. But overall, yeah, avoid the assets.
Yeah, just like all those assets y'all download from Sketchpad.
Yeah.
Be careful of adding real high polygon assets. Some of them also have hundreds of materials that are unoptimized, and you don't want that either. Luckily, Spatial includes a checker where it lets, or a counter that lets you know how big your project is, and that's super beneficial. So,
see a question, Trey.
Yeah, go ahead. Trey, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I was muted. My bad. I'm sorry. Can you hear me
Good.
now?
Yes.
Okay, so when you open it up a scene in Unity, how do you like if you have multiple versions of Unity, how do you make sure it open up in the correct version?
So with the spatial starter pack,
Mhm.
it's going to open up in the version that it's supposed to, because this folder, let me find it. So the project settings actually relates to the editor version. So when you open up, a package from Spatial, it's going to automatically choose the right editor version because it's the last editor version that this package came out of.
Okay, okay.
But if you do decide to start a new project, when you click new project, you can change your editor version here.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
So for neither Spatial nor VRChat, do you have to actually create a new project in Unity Hub, like with this, drop down here.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
It does take quite a while for these spatial packages to upload. But for VRChat, VRChat has a the VRC Creator Companion, or VCC. And this is it's basically the same as Unity Hub, but it's specifically made for VRChat projects. And we'll go over this, but the Creator Companion is what you need to start on your VRChat worlds. All right, I'm just gonna run through the chat really quick. Trees are probably really hard to compress because the leaves are so small. If they're individual leaves, those are definitely too big. But if they're like the PNG, like they're like flat cards that have like a leaf texture on it, those are pretty standard. Low poly trees. I've been to Monaverse, although I haven't really dived into the world building side. I've just been touring a bunch of their worlds. Let's do another poll. Let's see clapping emojis for anybody who's interested in creating avatars for VRChat. Ooh wee. All right. I do have a connect with a girl that is open and willing to come in and do a conversation with us about VRChat avatars. I see jokers in my penthouse.
Yeah, I want to sit down, so I want somewhere comfortable. So yeah,
hey,
it's a good space. a little bit of moody evening vibes for the mid-afternoon, but whatever, it's still comfortable.
Can you give me a rating on how well I did for my first VRChat world?
I think you did. I mean, like I think it's, to me, it's really nice. I really like being here. It's comfortable. I think it looks great. That being said, I'm a programmer, not an artist.
Okay.
So if you're asking for about my taste in like in aesthetics and visual stuff, it's just like, like this, you know, this avatar is like, this is, you know, this is what I'm capable of. Like, it's not really that fancy. But I think I appreciate, I definitely appreciate a comfortable space when I'm in it. And I love the stream you got going too.
Thanks. That's my thing, you know. This is the same penthouse in Spatial. So I think Spatial did a really good job, like with their Unity importer. Like, I think it looks gorgeous. And I love that you have, you know, you're able to use post-processing. Oh my goodness, this project is still trying to load. So Bloom is one of the things everybody loved about VRChat, and we didn't have when we moved to URP, even though they said that we were gonna get post-processing. So I'm happy that both platforms that I'm building on now allow for that, because you can imagine, I spent 15, 16 years being a photographer. I love being able to manipulate the colors and the brightness of something like post taking the photo. So post-processing is going to be really fun to play around with in these spaces.
As far as I know, since we're talking about it, as far as I know, post-processing does not yet work on the Android, the Quest versions of VRChat Worlds. Works just fine for PC. Yeah, that's that's one of the main things you get tripped up with VRChat is you can create Quest worlds, but there are hard limitations where you can do it fine on PC, but you have to know when you're designing, like, okay, when I switch over to making the Quest version, this is gonna have to be gone, and you have to kind of keep it in your head, like, is this it's gonna look different? Is it gonna be too different, and things like that. But usually, I mean, like, again, not an artist, but my judgment is just like, you leave out things like post-processing. It's like, yeah, you're missing something, but it's still comfortable. You're still sharing the experience of the same people, or like with the people in the space. And that's what really matters.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, because I've definitely been, I had my head against a wall trying to have my Quest space look the exact same as my PC space. All right, so the package is done. All right, we're gonna upgrade. All right, it might take some time to upgrade too. All right, so remember that package that I exported from Unity? I'm gonna go grab that package now. All right, here it is right here. And once this is done, all I have to do is double click and it's gonna open up the importer here. And these are the scene vitals that I was talking about. So once I import this build, you'll be able to see that. All right, so I'm gonna double click on my community loft. And you're gonna see the import Unity package. You can click import. All right, so if I go to my loft here, and then I double click on the Unity scene file, then you can see it looks exactly the same as it did in the other project, except for my light baking. I'm gonna have to redo that light baking to make sure everything looks good. Most of the time the light bake looks pretty good, but sometimes there's a few spotches, and you might want to just rebake it again. Yeah, so we're bakery is definitely going to be a part of the VRChat, the VRChat side. I did use bakery on this one in my VRChat version of it, but that's a whole nother beast.
Yeah, as far as I know, again, this is sort of outside of my expertise, but as far as I know, bakery that's the more powerful tool. You can use it if you know it, if you really know what you want. But if you're using the standard light mapper that comes with Unity, then you can. That's what I do. For the 2 worlds I've ever made where I had to do a little bit of light baking, I know bakery exists, but I didn't want to go down that road of learning all that, so I just used the default light mapper in Unity, and I got away with it.
Yeah. So my penthouse that you're in right now, I did that with the Unity light baker. So you can still get really good results with the built-in light mapper in Unity. But I have been exploring bakery. I explored it when I first was starting to learn alt space, but didn't realize that I couldn't use it for alt space because of the scripts. But you can use it for VRChat. So, all right, so we've got our package in here and it looks good. I'm not gonna go through the baking process again because it could take a while. So what I need to do, I have my loft here. I'm gonna go up to the Spatial SDK and you're gonna go to account. And it's gonna have some steps for you to walk through. You're gonna click to log into your account and then you're gonna get a token ID here. I'm not gonna pull this up because then it will show my token ID and you're not supposed to share it. So this account page will walk you through everything. It's quite easy to do. And next you're gonna go to config. And under config, this is how you manage your different scene files and what's being uploaded to the Spatial platform. So the first thing you want to do is click on create. And it's going to create a brand new package. And to keep everything organized and the same, so we know what everything is, I'm going to call this Community Loft. And under the drop down here for default, I'm just going to leave the name at default, but I'm going to change the scene. And I can search for my scene without having to go through my project by clicking the circle right here. And then I'm going to pick the loft. So what I did was I just told Spatial that this is the package that I want to manage currently, and this is the scene that I'm currently using for it. So for the thumbnail, I can just pick a picture that's currently in here. This is going to be the main thumbnail that people see on Spatial. And then you can use another image for the mini thumbnail, or you can use the same image. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and close it. And there's a few things that you're going to need to add to your scene in order to upload it to Spatial. So I'm going to right click in the hierarchy, or you can click the plus sign here. And there's Spatial. I'm going to add an entrance point. Now the entrance point is our spawn point. Just like in alt space, it's 0, 0, 0. You'll see that it is also 0, 0, 0 right here. Now, you see this little half circle down here. This is the point where people are going to come in. So you do need to raise it up a little bit in order to see this black and white circle here. Because if it's underneath the ground, you're going to get some errors. You need to make sure that the circle is here and it's under or on something that has a collider. So your floor needs to have either a mesh collider or a box collider. Make sure that you raise it up enough to see where it's at, because sometimes it comes in under and sometimes it comes in really high. All right, so the next thing we're gonna add is the thumbnail camera. This is gonna take a picture upon upload. But if you have a thumbnail in your config, then it really doesn't matter where this is. I do always change the thumbnail camera though, for what it's looking at. So I'm going to do Shift-Control-F to change the position of the camera to where I'm looking at currently. All right, so the next thing
shout out to that tip. That's such a hot tip. It took me a while to learn that, and that's so awesome. I love that. I love that keyboard shortcut.
Yes, I love my keyboard shortcuts. I try to infuse that, especially when I'm using Blender. Well, we'll do another one, right? So if you make sure you guys are using a mouse or a space mouse and a space mouse to move around your scene. But if you right click on your mouse and then use WASD, then you can fly through your scenes here. This is good for some of you guys that don't have your space mouse or haven't figured out how to learn it yet. I'm calling some of y'all out. I know y'all bought that space mouse and you're not using it. All right. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the plus sign, spatial, and then you can add your hotspots here. These are where people sit down on a chair. I don't have any chairs in here currently, but you see the hotspot here. If you move it around, you will see that there's a little blue line here. It's blue because it's facing in the Z direction, and this is forward. So if you have a chair that is sitting right here and you want somebody to sit forward, then this blue line needs to be facing forward. And of course, you can use your rotate tools and just rotate that line to change where the front of the seat needs to be. All right, so we're gonna add spatial avatar teleporter. So let's say I didn't have any stairs in my loft, then I could drag this ball here up to the top. And when somebody enters this collider, it's going to teleport them to the top. So that's another one. And you can play around with some of the other things, but the entrance point and the thumbnail camera is basically what you need to get started. All right, so now I can go to the Spatial SDK and I can test my active scene, or I can go up here and click test current scene. Make sure you save your scene or you'll be thrown some errors. Come down here and check your scene vitals. Make sure you're under 500K. These are our recommendations. They will let you upload past this, but you know, we've had several conversations in this group about optimization. Baddie. Watch these numbers right here. All right. Try not to go above them. All right, so we're gonna click on test current scene and it's gonna run through and just make sure that everything is correct. It will give you a pop-up letting you know where your errors are if you have made an error. And those are easy to fix. So what the test scene is going to do is it's going to run a local version of your scene on Spatial. It's not something that you can invite people to. It's literally only for you to test out in that current session. They do recommend that you use test current scene while you're in your setup phase, because publishing it over and over and over again costs a lot of money or it costs a lot of processing power for them. on their side. So test your scene as much as you can before you click publish. You can, however, republish, but just be mindful of, of their request to not publish too many times for the same project. Does anybody have any questions up to this point? Awesome, you guys are smart. This one's really easy. Barry, is this, you've already been through this process, right?
Not in the depth you have. I got through and got my model into Spatial. One quick question. I'm probably jumping ahead of myself. In AltSpace, I could fly over a model like a building.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that in Spatial?
No.
Oh, you can. Okay.
I think they're releasing a lot of stuff. They're very active in their updates. You can join their Discord, and you can find all the updates that they're coming out with. I actually just signed up to use like their new system of locomotion and stuff like that. So I think it's coming. I just don't think it's currently here.
Okay.
They do have a locomotion update coming up. You can sign up for the beta right now in their Discord. All right. So that was easy. I just got my first my community build uploaded. Everything looks good. So as far as I know, they do not use scripting. But they do have a lot of other components that you can use. If you go to their support page for the Creator Toolkit, and you go under supported features and limitations and supported scene components, they have some really cool things that you can use here. To kind of gamify your experience. How do you send worlds to people if they want one? So this is something that they have implemented on the side where you're creating a world and you're uploading GLTFs, GLBs, but they haven't yet released a share function for templates coming through Unity. Now, if you go to, let's see where it's at. Frequently asked questions. There's, can I sell spaces? Or how do I transfer a toolkit template? You guys can read through this, but basically one option is that the other person needs to create a space on Spatial, and then they need to make you a host. However, they will have to sign up for the priced tier, the pro version, in order to make you a host. Because the Creator Toolkit is something you have to apply to be a part of, you can't upload a template directly to somebody else's account using Unity. So it's still in, I messaged them, because you guys know I have a Patreon where I share my templates on AltSpace. It's important to me to be able to share my templates with people that support me. But they said that's in the roadmap for the next few months. And so hopefully they roll that out before March. That would be fantastic. But currently it's very limited the way that you can share these templates. All right, so after you have tested and you're happy with it, then you can move on to publishing. And so when you go to publishing, you already have your information here, and it's just as easy as clicking publish. And then you go back to the website the spatial site. And it's going to upload as a package template, but it's not going to be placed on a world yet. So you need to go to your spaces. You need to click on create a space, and then you're going to go to packages, and then you can pick from one of these to create the world. And then that's it. Very simple. This is why I'm offering to do this side of the metaverse for my clients for free, because it's the easiest way to transfer the worlds over. I think I did like 8 yesterday. So, all right. That's it for spatial. One more thing. If you want to add post-processing with the bloom and stuff, you're going to click over here, the plus sign, go to volume, and you can choose whether you want it specified to a specific area or if you want it to go across the entire build. I normally do global volume. And then all I need to go to is click on new, profile, add an override, post-processing, and bloom. And then I want to click on threshold and intensity and tint. You can play around with these other ones if you want to, but I usually take the intensity up to not too high, but you can see now that everything that has an emissive material now has a little bit of bloom around it. So this is what it looks like without. This is what it looks like with. You don't want these numbers to be too high. You got a question?
Just wanted to share, I dropped the link in the chat. Jake stopped by my meetup and he did a really good presentation about spatial, specifically some triggers. Like he showed us how to create a playable piano. There's no programming, it's just, a lot of settings. Yeah. But I was surprised how many awesome things that you can do. Like you can jump from one location to another location. And that will be in the sample pack. It also comes in the same package, but there's another environment that you can open, and that comes packed with a lot of trigger samples.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, look up the link in the chat, and yeah, you'll find out more.
Awesome. I think Armani, you're getting all the links, right?
Yes, I can. I'm backing up all the chat here. So at the end, I can save the chat again and get the links there.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, this is pretty much it. You can play with other overrides. The really only the two that I use are color adjustments and bloom. Maybe sometimes some of the other ones, but this you can see you can change the contrast. You can get real creative here. All right, so this is the ending of the spatial one. You guys don't have any questions? We got Nicole.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Just overall, thinking about the differences between building in spatial and alt space, is there anything that folks should know in terms of differences? Like, I know you can't fly in spatial yet. Are the interactables or the engagement objects in spatial, are they, is there anything you need to do differently in spatial in order to make certain things work right, or anything like that? Just any differences overall that you haven't already talked about?
So in these spaces, let's see. You can still add things in World. I think Spatial is closest to like having like kind of the kit system that we have in alt space, being able to have things that you can pick up and move around. Although I don't know about pick up and move around on desktop, but I do know you can do that in VR. So if I want to put something on the table here, then I can hit the plus button, and then I can add like a bottle of champagne, right? And then I can move this object around. I can scale it up. I'm not exactly sure what makes something pick upable. Like I can pick it up and move it around, but when my friend was with me yesterday, she wasn't able to pick it up on PC, you know, on desktop. So I haven't gone into VR on Spatial to play with other assets, but you can add all types of things. Like you can upload MP3 or MP4 files here, documents straight from Google Drive, Microsoft. You can drop in NFTs. You can go directly to Sketchfab, drop in things. They do have some furniture pieces here, and then they have some random things that you can put in. If you want to, yeah, this is just, it's a 3D text in Blender, and this one has an emissive material on it. I use a lot of emissives. Emissives make it glow. All right, so yeah, that's about it. Like if you have like items that you've made in Blender, you can still export those as a GLB or an FBX, and then you can go to upload and upload those here. Did that answer your question, Nicole? As far as flying, like making worlds that, like some of my worlds like are really only good for flying. In that case, I can set up those teleport triggers until they enable that, or just not upload that one at all.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was more referring to things like flying that, you know, that's kind of native to alt space, and you can't do that here. So how do you get around that? You just answered that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I don't have any plans to move my jewelry systems to any place. Because I'm not sure, like I know VRChat has attachables, but it's not the same, you know, because all the avatars are different. They're all different sizes, and they all have, you know, they all have the same bone mechanisms, like they all have the same bone and armatures, but I haven't gotten deep into the wearables. I don't believe they have any wearable things in Spatial yet,
No.
but I foresee it coming with Ready Player One for sure.
Yeah, because they have the Ready Player Me's, and they have the custom ones with those avatars, but not anything that you can, the creator themselves can create, and then your avatar can wear. But we're getting there. I can't wait till that happens.
Right. Let's go ahead and go to Trey. You got a question?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so when I add a projector to a display projector, it says I can only add one in the world in Spatial.
Yeah.
I can't have multiple, like, because I have a big space, but
Right.
I want them to be able to see in different wherever they are in the room in the world.
Yeah.
I can't do that yet.
No. I have ran into the same issue. I don't know. I don't know if there's mirrors. I do believe, like, back when I was making non-Unity templates on Spatial, I think I was able to have like a duplicate screen, like maybe like one other screen when I was sharing my screen. But I haven't tested that recently.
Okay.
But it didn't work with the uploader. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hopefully they come out with a solution.
Yeah. I mean, we like the projector mirror with multiple,
Yes.
the projector screen with multiple mirrors. That's
Yes.
what we're looking for.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Okay, so we're done with spatial. Let's break for a second. Does anybody have anything that they want to say?
You see a comment in the chat.
What'd you say?
See a comment in the chat. I think it's from Boogie, and yep, about multiple videos.
Yeah, you can upload multiple videos, but we're talking about the mirrors
All right.
for web projector or the screen share.
Do you see a question too from Betty here?
Walk in the headset. Yeah, that's the locomotion. So if you go to their Discord, maybe Armani can put the spatial Discord in the chat. They have a form that you can sign up for the locomotion testing. Boogie, can you go into detail about that? I haven't tested it, but that would be a good solution. All right, so we'll go into VRChat. So the VRChat creator companion. All right, so this is the creator companion. You can get to it from vcc.docs.vrchat.com. And so all you need to do is download this and install it on your computer. And you will be greeted with this right here. And the first thing you're going to want to do is go to new. And then you can pick from these templates here. So if you're making an avatar, click this one. If you're making a world, click this one. If you're working on Udon scripting, like making your own scripts and things, it's kind of equivalent to the MRE, but like the MRE was Microsoft or Altspace's scripting language that was available for us to use. Like they put in a package of things that we could use in their platform. Udon is the same for VRChat. So I'm going to go with world, and then you can save this to a specific folder, and make sure you guys follow this organization. Put your Unity files somewhere, like your projects somewhere where you can easily find them. And then you click on create. All right, so now it has created a place on your hard drive for VRChat. And the cool thing about the VRChat companion is that you can actually install some of the most important plugins straight from here. So if you are wanting to do audio reactive things, like if you have a club and you want like the speakers to change colors to the beat, that's the audio link. If the ones that I add upon default, upon opening, is the VR World Toolkit and the Easy Quest switch. So those are the ones that I add, and then I can go ahead and open the project. And then we're just going to do the same process as I did with the one in Spatial. I'm going to open the package inside of my Unity project. All right, we're going to give it some time to load. While we're waiting, vrcprefabs.com. I'll go ahead and put this one in the chat.
Yo.
Is there a certain version of Unity you have to open it in for VRChat?
Yeah, so VRChat uses
2019.4.f1.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, 2019.4.
3.1 F1. I don't know. It's a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
the 0.4
Yeah,
is the
that-
only thing that really matters.
Yeah, I was trying to get it down. Yeah, so make sure you have that installed on your system. But as long as it's installed on your system, the VRChat companion will open it in the correct.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, VRC prefabs. You can come over here and follow them on Twitter. Joker, what is the TLX?
Yeah, I love TLX. TLX is essentially it's somewhere between TED Talks and like just technical lectures. It's been a while since we did the last one, just about a year actually, but it's basically like experts on a topic, like programming or light mapping or shaders and materials or just like lots of stuff. They'll just volunteer, like we'll organize an event, and people will volunteer and say, hey, I have something I want to make a presentation about. They make a slideshow, they do a 1-hour presentation. It's a live event. You can show up and hang out in the crowd and listen, but it's also recorded. And then there's a YouTube channel. That's what that link is. It's to a page with the directory of the links to the YouTube videos.
Gotcha.
So there's just stuff you can watch and learn, really in depth. I would say advanced, like intermediate to advanced knowledge. So like if you're just a beginner, probably give it a minute. Like, well, I like if, for people
Yeah,
for people
ready.
well, I think for people like if you've worked in Unity before, honestly,
Yeah.
probably a lot of the especially like baking stuff, like the art stuff, it's all pretty similar. So it's a lot of the stuff I think will be useful to a lot of people in this call right now. Yeah, it's a really great resource. It's only there are loads and loads and loads of great YouTube tutorials out there on how to make content for VRChat. This is only a small part of it. I would say this stuff is really it's pretty in depth and well formulated, and easy to listen to, but it only covers like a handful of topics. So it's a good starting place, but there's so much more out there.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so I click on the database and open up the Google Drive for this. It's awesome. These are all free resources, right?
Yeah, that's part of the mission and definition of prefabs is it's knowledge sharing and resources, but also one of the main parts of our mission is to maintain this database of freely licensed. The licenses vary a little bit. Usually you find MIT license, which means you can use it in whatever project you want. Usually you just kind of have to give credit. The licenses do vary a little bit though, but yeah, they're all free to use. Maybe there might be some non-commercial licenses in there. You just kind of have to watch out. Like when you download something, it always comes with a license file. So check it out, and usually you're safe. But occasionally you'll see something that says like, please use this in your Hangout world. But if you're selling this on a contract, then it's But yeah, generally they're all completely free.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on that because I think VRChat has a different, like they have different I wouldn't say code of conduct, but like social dynamics or like things that the community know, but maybe people on the outside don't quite know yet about like giving credit or you know, like the use of licenses, because it's not been something that's been a heavy conversation in alt space. Like people, you know, downloading
Yeah.
assets or maybe putting their name on something, you know, when they didn't make it, or, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, not properly crediting based on a license. So what is the social etiquette for both avatars and world building in VRChat?
Yeah, it's a little tricky, right? Because with world building, so I think I don't know if it's in here, but for crediting, I would say my personal attitude is just like whatever you can do, whatever is easy. Like if you download a prefab that's, you know, from anywhere, just generally, if you can have just a little like plaque somewhere in your world that just kind of acknowledges like this world uses a bunch of prefab, like I didn't, you know, like this world uses stuff that I didn't make, you know, and then kind of try and describe what the assets are that you're using and kind of say like, you know, like this couch, like I'm pretty sure it's a bad example that I'm in your world right now, Artsy, because I'm pretty sure everything was made
Well,
by
the
you.
couch is the only thing I didn't make that.
Oh,
so
okay, well, yeah, but so like, yeah, like, but just like a plaque somewhere, just toss it up and say like, look, or even honestly, I think a minimal acceptable thing is just to have a plaque that just says this world includes prefabs and assets made by, and then just a list of names. Like if you can list exactly what the thing is that person did, that's, you know, that's better. But I think just the minimum of saying like, look, these people contributed by distributing their cool free assets. It's kind of weird because it's like this space is like licenses didn't really think about this kind of space where it's like, because we're not publishing like games, we're not uploading games like where there's a whole credits thing thing. It's not like it's not formal in the same way it's usually been for when people are using other people's assets. These are like worlds that are just like a small part and like don't necessarily have a place to give credits. So we're kind of in a weird in between stage where there's not really a proper way to give credit. So it's just kind of anything you feel like is appropriate, and it's like, yeah, that's what I would say. Avatars, who knows? I mean, like the avatar I'm wearing right now uses assets that I got from elsewhere, but I don't like. There's no way for me to give credit to those people other than just to say like, oh yeah, like I didn't make everything, and just kind of acknowledge that. So it's like, use your best judgment. I don't think people aren't out there getting angry about this kind of stuff unless you are unless you're like if you are selling an asset and saying that you made everything,
right,
and you didn't. I mean, like, you know, don't do that. Like that's the real no. So, you know, but you know, just be a good person, and like I don't think you'll have anything to worry about.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. That's something that was unclear and something that I'd like people to know. So yeah, so the Udon prefabs, like I know like a lot of these are in the VCC now. So the Udon prefabs is where I go. And so like you can find different things like the skee ball or deck of cards, beer pong table, the 8-ball tables. You can find a lot of stuff in here. One of my favorites, two of my favorites are the starter packs. And if you go to Control F, then you can search for things. So if I type in,
we are, yeah, it just shout out. It's this website is old, like this is a
Yeah.
Google sheet. It's not the best way to do this
Yeah.
website. It's kind of like, we want to make this into a real website eventually, but it's just kind of like, that's work.
Yeah, of
And
course.
the VRC prefabs community, like this is not a commercial operation. This is people just kind of like contributing
Hey,
what they
I love
can.
it.
So yeah,
Love it.
eventually it'll be more
Grassroots.
searchable, but right now you're absolutely right. Is Control F is the way to do it. And also
Yeah.
like, yeah, you pointed out the tabs up top. It's easy to miss those tabs, but yeah, there's lots of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so I look up starter. And you've got an Udon starter kit here. If I go down, there's a VRC starter kit, and then you can go to the link here to download these things. And so I've got a whole folder dedicated to just prefabs on my computer. So this is a great resource. It's really what got me started in my obsession with finding all the cool things that I could add to my world. It
There's
looks
also
like
a tutorials tab. Shout out to that. Probably not
Yeah.
super up to date, but it's there.
I think I'm having some issues with my Unity, so I'm gonna restart it.
And you'll have to excuse me. I'm just grooving to the music in the penthouse right now. I forgot. I thought I had it turned down,
Oh.
but I turned it up, and now I'm just kind of like.
Can you explain to people what video is like in VRChat?
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
'Cause in
That's like a whole top.
Altspace, right.
Yeah. You
In
had the
Altspace,
desktop
we-
projector and the web projector. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I haven't found anything like that. And so I imagine that there's more to why it's so difficult to play video.
Yeah. Yeah. This is I'm not gonna say it's very complicated, because it's the kind of thing where it's just like there's a little bit of ice to break. And once you get your head around it a little bit, it's not, it's all perfectly doable, but it's definitely more complicated than Altspace. It's not super user friendly. What it comes down to is the video player is essentially like that's a prefab that you can add to your world, and there are different versions of it. Like there's a really basic version that's included with the SDK. It's very, very basic, like it'll play a video. And then from that, there's like a bunch of branches of people have sort of put their own spin on it, adding features, trying to make it more usable, trying to make it more powerful. I guess I'll just give a plug for the one that I typically use is Pro TV, which is a project managed by Architect Anon, who have, VRC prefabs member, acquaintance of mine, good dude. But yeah, so putting the video player in the world is not the hard part, really. It's understanding how videos get played. And the most important thing, especially for Altspace users, is that that's a little bit different between Quest and PC. PC, it's really easy because you basically just plug in, like if you want to watch a YouTube video, you plug in a YouTube link and it's just like no sweat. It downloads the video and it plays it for you and it synchronizes so everybody's seeing it the same. On Quest, there's basically some, it's hard to explain, but like Quest basically just said, nah, you can't stream YouTube content. And so like you have to find different ways to do it. You can use different video providers that aren't YouTube. Shout out to VRCDN, which is just, VR content delivery network, which is a community created and supported alternative to YouTube, to things like YouTube and Twitch for hosting. And that is part of the purpose of that is that allows Quest users to download video content and view video content without too much difficulty. That's what I use. The world that I was just in, the ice skating world, I put in a nice video that loops with music, and that's using VRCDN, so Quest users can go in and they can hear the music too. Yeah, that's a whole topic that somebody could really. There are some resources out there. Again, the creator Pro TV, Architect Anon, has at least one page with a nice tutorial, like a text tutorial that explains this stuff in pretty good detail. So I'm happy to link that to people. That's probably the best place to get started in understanding how all this works. But yeah, again, I would just encourage people, like, don't be afraid. It's takes a minute to figure out, but it's the kind of thing where it's just like, folks, and we're all together, like once one of us figures it out and knows how to communicate it to each other, then we can make it easy. We can share that knowledge and make it easy for each other, and we don't have to be afraid of it, and we can get it working and do some really cool, powerful stuff.
What about live?
Yes, live is again. So yeah, so I shout out again to the music. I'm always going to be talking about the music events. Last night I was at Hip Hop Day. Typically the way that's done is people stream. So I know in Altspace, one of the big ones was streaming. It was using Tribe, right? You go on Tribe and you stream. And I forget if Tribe had its own content delivery network or if it usually used Twitch or both. So, but the service that most people understand is Twitch, right? You use like OBS Studio is a common one for PC. You load up OBS, you stream to Twitch, and then people can go on Twitch and watch on the web browser. In VRChat, if you plug if you're on PC in VRChat, if you plug a Twitch link into a video player, then it will play that, no problem. But again, because of some proprietary weirdness, Meta and Quest has decided that no, like streaming Twitch content is like something they don't want, that's not technically easy, or they don't allow, or for whatever reason. So again, VRCDN is a solution to that. The way most events, like music events, work is they'll use VRCDN now. But yeah, it works. The video player does most of the work for you. If you plug in a link, it decides like, okay, are you giving me just a video with a limited length to download, or are you giving me a live stream? So you don't have to worry too much about it. You just need to know, you have to make that decision whether your audience is Quest users or PC users, and which service to use.
Gotcha. Perfect. And I know people use secondary avatar accounts, routing through like Voicemeeter, right? For Quest.
Secondary. I don't really follow. Sorry. I know what Voicemeeter is, but I'm not really sure what you're.
So, like, let's say we're having like a club night, right? Club premiere.
Sure.
On
Yeah.
Quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not like a great way to do that live with those players. So like people can bring in like what we call a music bot.
Right. Okay. It's just another user. It's like a fake, sort of a fake, like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, in VRChat, people don't like, when people say avatar, they're not like, this is something I've noticed between the different sort of metaverse platforms, right? Is like there's terminology means different things. So yeah, I've heard people use the word avatar when they're talking about like a player, like a person, like a whole entity. In VRChat, typically when people say avatar, they're talking about like, this art asset that I'm animating. But yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm on board now. I know what you're saying. Right. So yeah, that is something that some Quest users do. Shout out to Club Luxor, Spanish-speaking community that I hang out with sometimes. A lot of Quest users. They do music events. They play lots of like their favorite. They play a lot of reggaeton, and they do that by, just like you said, they come in and they use Voicemeeter and they stream over their microphone to play music. I kind of tried to get them off that, and I said, look, like, just if you can just use VRCDN. Then Quest users will be able to do it. So like, yeah, that works. That'll work. If you stream music through your microphone, people will hear it. The quality is low and you're not getting stereo channels. So like, for people like me who love the quality, like, I want to hear all that quality of the music, like it, it sort of kills me a little bit. But yeah, if you want to get started doing that, like that's one way to do it. But definitely the better technology is get a streaming service that will stream to Quest. And
gotcha.
Vimeo, like the paid version of Vimeo can do that, but VRCDN is kind of the standard now. Like maybe eventually there'll be a better competitor, but VRCDN is just a pretty cool option. And again, yeah, like hit me up if you have more. I'm trying my best to sort of hit the high points here, but there's enough. There are more details that I'm happy to follow up. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. That was That was awesome. I learned a lot. Video,
I'm still
video
grooving.
and music, you know, it's super important. So I appreciate that.
Question from Moody.
What's
Oh, a hand raise. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Moody. What was the question? Well, feel free to come off mute when you're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and import the package of my community loft by double clicking, and it's going to open up in my project. Now, I've only uploaded, I think, like 4 worlds, 2 that are public. So I'm not a master at this, but feel free to stop me or, you know, show me something else. So I'm going to import all of that. And just like in Spatial, all of my dependencies are going to come in with it. So I don't need to do anything else. But remember, we are going backwards in the render pipeline. So our materials are going to be bright pink. So I'm going to open my loft here. And I just need to do the conversion. So I'm going to select all of my materials. And then I'm going to go to the inspector, and I'm going to change the shader up here to standard so I can see everything. And most things should come in the correct color. Some textures might get lost in the conversion, but you should be fine. All right, so now from this process, you can go ahead and do your light baking. You guys know how to do that at this point. If you don't, go back into some of the other open studios to learn about light baking. All right, so with the VRChat SDK, you can come over here to show control panel, and then you can sign into your account. All right, and in the settings over here, this is what I first normally do, is I go over here to the installed client path, and I make sure that it is pointed to my actual VRChat program on my desktop, so that when we go to Builder and run a test build, it will open up the actual VRChat client on my computer, and I can see a local version of my world. All right, so first thing in my scene, I want to make sure that I add is a VRC world component. So I'm going to go to all prefabs here, and I'm going to scroll down to VRC world, and I'm going to drop that into my hierarchy. And now once I go to Builder, I will now see these different options here. So under under the inspector, if you click on spawns here, you'll see that your spawn point is right here, and you can move your spawn point wherever you want people to spawn in first, just like in alt space. And there's a lot of other things here. I don't know if Andy, you want to jump in? I haven't been through all of these different settings.
You can ignore, like, this is set up, so you can ignore most of them for now. I think
you have like run
honestly,
speed and jump speed that you can change in here.
That's in. So I will point out that, like, what you just dragged in was a prefab, like it's basically an example prefab that's included with the SDK. And like, yeah, it's meant to be a drag and drop, just drop it and forget it kind of solution. But yeah, you could unpack that prefab, all of the different little components. You can move them around. These don't have to exist on the same object. You can have multiple spawns, I think is a nice one to point out. Like none of this is important knowledge. So like if everyone forgets what I'm saying, that's fine. But just like to get an idea of like the stuff you can do. Like that spawn, that's an array. Like you can drag in a bunch more transforms and scatter them around so that people are spawning at different points in the room or even different points in the map. Yeah, and down there that Udon behavior script, that's where you can set this walk speed and run speed and strafe, like all that stuff.
What is strafe?
Yeah, that's just moving, like when you use your joystick to go left and right. That's strafing. Honestly, walk speed and strafe speed should always be the same number. Like if you're changing that, it's because you're making some weird game world where you're like, yeah. But yeah, generally those are really good settings. You can leave those. Yeah.
Cool. And then so basically once you have the VRC world prefab, after you do all of the things that you want to do, like putting other prefabs into the world, like maybe some of these chairs, these chair prefabs, these are basically like when you hover over a seat, you can click and sit on it. And then you can just hide the mesh renderer so that the chair doesn't actually show up. And then you can duplicate these for more. So I've there's a lot of prefabs that other people have created that make different types of these chairs, these interactable chairs, and you can just pick the ones that work best for you.
If you want to make people sick, you could attach the chair to an animator or like have them fly around. There's a jetpack prefab that does that.
Yeah. I actually have one on my avatar that I made, where you can sit next to me and you can fly around. It's super
nice. Cool. That's cool.
I try to get a little advanced, yeah, but so there's a lot of stuff that comes in the basics, and then there's a lot more things that you can drag and drop into your worlds that come from other people in the community. But basically, those are the basics. As far as I know, you can go to the VRC World Toolkit and it will help you set up your post-processing. So you can go ahead and do that. All right, perfect. And then you can change, some of these settings to your liking. And then once you get your world back to how it looked in AltSpace or even better, you can go to the SDK and you can run a build and test. This is one of my favorite parts.
There is also, it looks like you skipped over, you can test in editor a little bit too. Have you messed with that a little bit, the client sim?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a nice, typically a good workflow is, exactly, yeah. Typically a good workflow is like, especially for programming stuff, when there's like, us programmers, we make a million little errors and screw ups before we actually get things right. And if you can launch into client sim and like immediately discover that problem before going through this whole process of building, it's way easier. But for art stuff, it's typically, you don't have to worry as much about it. But yeah, having client sim, you just hit the play button up top and it's play mode, in the Unity editor for game developers who are familiar with that. But it gives you a little player controller that you can walk around and click on stuff and
Yeah, let's try that. We'll hit the play button because I remember when I was testing out different prefab. That.
There you go. Yeah, so there's your first problem. I guess you don't have a collider somewhere. Yeah.
Wait, so this is what I ran into, right? So I have a collider, but it's the layer. I found out that the layer, when I bring something in, like it's pick
That's
up
weird,
no.
yeah. I have no idea how it would have got there, but yeah, it shouldn't.
Yeah,
Default,
like I've had to do it on all of them.
default for the environment, default, you're usually safe,
Yeah.
default or the environment layer, but yeah.
Yeah, so I had
that's
to
weird.
change it
That's
to
weird.
default, and now when I go to play, it recognizes my colliders.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so it, this is getting kind of technical, and ooh, the lighting there is fun. This is getting kind of technical, but basically physics in Unity is it works with like you tell certain layers combine with, or certain layers will collide with certain other layers, and you can specify like this physics layer should not collide with other layers. So like the player in VRChat is on one specific layer, and there are a bunch of layers that allow you to just walk through. Like the collider still exists, and if you have like an object, like something that you pick up and you throw against a wall, it'll collide with that wall. But you could have a wall that you throw an object against it, but the player walks right through it, and that's really useful for certain things like game modes where you like, you want to keep items in a certain area, but you want players to be able to walk through. So yeah, for whatever reason, your floor was just on the no environment layer, which just means players don't collide with it, but certain other things will. So that's just an easy that's a little gotcha that, there's always things like that in Unity development. So that's the kind of thing. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing where it's like, you're confused. You're like, what, like, why is this happening? You hop on the Discord, ping somebody else who might know what they're talking about, and say like, why is like, I have no idea why this is happening. And like, usually somebody can get you if they're there, we can get you unstuck from that kind of thing. And like, within a minute, rather than you having to waste an hour. Like,
I wasted so much time.
Yeah.
I uploaded the same environment, like, cause I didn't know about the resource. Like I didn't know about the Discords, so that's why I'm super glad to have you here. Cause I didn't know where to go to find help.
Yep.
I was just testing out. I was like, maybe it could be a
and
layer.
that's also a great example of using client sim, because you can just hit play, immediately see that issue, and you don't have to, and then try to fix it, and then try again, and you don't have to wait for the whole time for your
I think I have
for the building
or something. Yeah, I do. All right. Jackie asked if the VRC world item could be lower than the floor. It's essentially a spawn point, right?
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't have to be a spawn point, but the way, if you're dragging that prefab in, then that is essentially a spawn point. If it's lower than the floor, then VRChat is gonna. It should not be lower than the floor. If it is, VRChat.
Oh, I think she was asking me if it was lower, if mine was lower than the floor.
Oh, but, well, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it wasn't lower than the floor. My layers were it was pick up an environment.
Got it. Yeah, VRChat tries to fix little screw ups like that for you. Like if it's a little lower than the floor, then it'll spawn you and say, oh, okay, we got to move you up, like part of a meter or whatever, so that you are spawning in the right place. But yeah, you should try and do things the proper way.
Yeah, for sure. Batty asks, how can she send a world or a template into VRChat for a client? Like, so in Altspace, we can create a template, and then we can share it with a specific username, and then they can create a new world based on that template.
Yeah. Rec Room works kind of the same way. Yeah. The answer there is I think you can't really. Like if you're collaborating on creating a world, in VRChat, it basically means that you and the people you're working with need to have access to the same Unity project. And now that gets into, you're using other game developer tools like maybe GitHub or Git or GitHub. Plastic, like Unity has its built-in solution, which is named Plastic SCM. I use that a bunch. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I can recommend it. It's a little quirky, but yeah, that's tough.
Basically, the upload only goes. The upload only goes to one world, right? Like, so if I click on this VRC world, then I see a blueprint ID, right?
Exactly. Yep.
This is correlated to a world when it's uploaded, and it
Exactly.
can't be uploaded to a different world, right?
You can upload the same Unity project to as many different, because yeah, that detach button, if you click to
Okay.
detach, you can then plug in, like now if you build again, it's going to pretend like this is a whole new world.
Gotcha.
And it'll upload it again to a separate, and that's very useful if you want to have like a beta branch, like if you're doing programming stuff, and you want and you have some, if you have a version of your world that you know is working and it's stable, and you want people to continue to use it, but you want to build a separate version and test it without overwriting. That blueprint ID that's crucial for that. And also shout out to if you go up to the VRChat SDK tab. This is funny. Your editor is set up almost exactly the same way I set up my editor. So props to you. That's the right way to do it. The content manager tab. If you click content manager, that looks at your account and it shows you all your worlds, and the copy ID button. If you click that is going to copy the world's blueprint ID onto your Windows clipboard or Mac or whatever. And so like if you want to build a scene to that blueprint ID, that's how you can get the ID really easily. See, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that's
So
for.
this is the exact same template
Yeah.
as I used for my udon test. So yeah, it's the exact same world. Awesome. That was super helpful. So am I good to go? Can we upload now? We got everything.
So yeah. That's always the question, right?
Right.
You're sure, like, oh, I got everything, and then you build, and it's like, oh, I screwed up.
I get so nervous sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. So build and test. This is just the local testing version, just like we did in the play
It goes
button.
faster. Yeah. Build and test is basically like it lets you get into your world in screen mode, and it goes faster than uploading it. It goes a little bit faster.
Gotcha.
But it's still, it takes some time. So you gotta, especially if you've got lots of art stuff, because it's gonna process all that data. But yeah. And I guess I'll like sort of set people's expectations. VRChat it kind of crosses the threshold between, there's tools, there are platforms for making worlds and stuff where the developers put in a lot of time to developing their own tools to make it really user-friendly, and make it like those tools are specific to that platform. And I'm thinking of like Rec Room, especially right now, right? Because that's where I come from. I spent lots of time in Rec Room. Rec Room is you go.
Oh no, did we lose you? Maybe that's me.
I thought that was me.
Are you guys hanging in there? I know this is a lot of information to take in.
Oh no, I'm rocking with it. I really have some questions for him.
All right.
Go back in here
and I think he's about to talk about it right now.
All right, bet. Drop your questions in the chat so we don't miss out, or raise your hand and Armani will call on you.
Check, am I back? Is that working? No, not quite yet.
I hear you.
All right. Apologies for that. Yeah. I have the fortune of using a wireless adapter for my headset. But that means that every couple hours the battery will die, and sometimes I forget and I don't have any warning. So I just kind of like I just lose consciousness for a minute and can't talk. But I'm back now. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, like I was saying, VRChat is like, it's kind of a platform that assumes you're a little bit of a game developer. It treats you like you are somebody who has who knows how to think in terms of game development and Unity development. Like it gives you a lot of power, but it also assumes that you are comfortable figuring out a lot of stuff that's technical and sometimes really particular. This is in contrast to things like Rec Room, like I was saying, where they really make the tools to like, there are a lot of guardrails that keep you on track.
Gotcha. Can you explain, so you have to have a certain amount of like a user status
Yeah, yep.
in order to upload a world
Yeah.
to the
Yep.
public, right? Or just
Yeah.
uploading and like, can you upload private
It's
without
yeah,
that?
yeah. Yep, it's both. So yeah, there's basically two levels. And the main way that you get it's trust, right? You earn trust for your user account, and the main way that you earn trust is just by going into VRChat, hanging out, and especially in public lobbies, which is not always fun and not always safe, but often it is. But you hang out and you just kind of like you develop like it automatically develops trust. They won't explain the particulars of how exactly it happens because they don't want people to like game it and like exploit it. But yeah, like you have to spend some time and earn trust. And the first level of trust that you get to is you're allowed to upload content that's not public, right? So when you first upload a world, you can access it. It's like on your page. You can go to the web page and like and join it. You can, and when you log in, it's available to you, and you can invite your friends in. But it's not listed. It's not in the web. It's not in the browser. People can't find it on their own. That's the next level of trust. The next level of trust is you can upload something and also make it public. It takes a bit. It's a little bit frustrating, especially like for people who are doing enterprise stuff where it's like that, they don't have time to just like be playing VRChat, but they want to make a world. It's not a great system. I think they're looking at improving it eventually, but for now it's like, yeah, you got to just go in and just spend some time.
Where can you find your trust rank? Right here?
That's a separate, that's actually a separate trust level. That's it's closely related. You earn trust in exactly the same way, but that's trust level that lets people. There's a whole like,
gotcha.
Like it's mainly for avatars. Like because you're a trusted user, I will automatically show your avatar because it's less
Gotcha.
and this is all like the whole purpose of this system is to prevent trolls, right? Because if it were really easy to make a new account and go in and start adding content, then that means it would be really easy to go in and start adding abusive content that was giving people a bad experience. And so this is just a mitigation measure that they have, and it's a pain, but it has to be a pain. That's the only way it works. So yep.
Gotcha. But once you sign in here, it'll let you know whether you're allowed to upload.
It does, exactly. It tells you in the SDK what that's how you know.
Okay.
It doesn't tell you precisely what your trust rank is. It just tells you what you're allowed to do. And there are exactly two things you're allowed to do. Well, I guess three. You can upload avatars, you can upload worlds, and you can publish worlds. So those are the three things to look out for right there. Exactly, right in the SDK.
All right, cool. So so after I test and I like how everything is looking in my world, I can go to publish, build and publish. And it's going to run through the entire import process.
Yep. So here's it's already doing that. But so I guess while we're sitting here watching this happen,
but go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Cancel it, and I just want to give you a nice tip to save a little bit of time.
Okay.
Just while I have an audience of people, it's good to look at. So on the SDK, go over to the Settings tab. Settings, there you go. Show extra options on build page and account page. Yep. So now go to Builder. So now if you scroll down a little bit, you see you have these new buttons that say last build. So this is really convenient because if you just did a build and test and you go in, you're like, everything's great, I want to publish it now. If you click build and publish, then it's going to redo all of that building that it just did and then publish. But if you click last build, the build is already saved on your hard drive and it'll just use that instead. So you skip over the building process and you just go straight to the upload process. So that's kind of nice to just so you don't have to.
Oh my goodness, you saved so much of my time.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And before it doesn't have to be right now, but before this call ends, I do want to point out the local cache setting. That's another enormous, vitally important time saver for people for using the Unity editor. Like hours of time this will save people.
Yeah.
So before we get too far, I want to make sure people know that, because like
Yeah,
otherwise,
let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it. It's recorded so people can go back and watch.
Are you building right now, or do you want me to point it out?
You can point it out.
Okay, cool. Okay. So what this is when you're building a world for VRChat, you have to build it twice. If you're building for both PC and for Android. Android
Yeah.
just means Quest, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. So in order to build, so right now what you're doing is your build target is, if you look up in the top left corner, it says Loft, PC, Mac, and Linux standalone. That just means you're currently building the world for the PC version. Like your build target is PC. So and you know this, but so to build for Android, you have to go to the project settings tab, and you have to change your build target and say like, okay, now I want to build for Android. When you do that, that don't do it, well, actually, yeah, don't do it quite yet. But when you do that, what the Unity editor is doing is it's taking all of your assets, all of your files, all of these gigabytes and gigabytes of data, and it's re-importing it.
Yes.
Okay, it's saying, okay, now our build target is Android. I have to do a bunch of analyzing and processing to make it so we can build for Android. That takes so long. But if you turn on local cache, so let's do this right now. Go up to edit project. So this is going to change this for all of your Unity projects. It shouldn't break anything, but just be aware this is not just for this world, it's for all worlds. So edit, and then I think preferences, and let's see, general. I think it's under general. Oh, I'm sorry, cache server. Right now it says cache server global. Yeah, there you go. So cache server mode disabled. You can click that drop down, and
is it the default one or the?
When I'm confused of why there's two cache server mode, the asset pipeline modes. I'm pretty sure. I don't have Unity open right now. I'm almost, well, anyway, yeah, the top one, you can change it to local. So what this is doing is basically it just says, I'm going to use up a bunch of your hard drive space. So when I import all of the assets, it's just going to, instead of just overwriting all of the stuff that it created for the PC target, it's going to create separate versions and save them on your hard drive, which uses up a few gigabytes of your hard drive space, but it makes it so that when you change build targets back and forth, instead of doing all that processing over again, it just reads from the cache.
Oh,
and
wow.
and loads it up. And so it goes from processing for 20 minutes, 40 minutes to 2 or 3 minutes. Because all it's doing is if you've made changes to an asset, then it does still have to re-import it. But like when you're working, you usually don't change that much. You're changing, a model here, a texture there, and that's really quick to change. But everything else, like you don't have to re-import it because it just reads it from there. So that's a really big hot tip to save everybody lots of time. This is honestly probably one of the number. Yeah, that's probably one of the number one reasons that people don't make Quest content, is because they hate doing the importing over and over again, because they don't realize that you can just do this and save yourself a ton of time.
Yes, I have not pushed updates to things because I didn't want to do this.
Yep.
Gold. All right, so this is all I need to do.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah, that's the only setting you need to change. It's still, when you change build target, it needs to do it for the first time.
Yeah.
But after that, when you go back and forth, you'll be all set.
Thank you. Wow, super helpful. So Rebecca she's got a comment. She says, not sure if this was covered. Concerns about VRChat's upcoming URP update. What can we do in advance?
I think I know. Hi, Rebecca. I know Rebecca. I think I know what Rebecca is talking about. Yeah, right now, VRChat's on Unity 2019, and like eventually they're gonna have to update. I don't represent VRChat. I don't talk to the developers about this. I don't really know. I can only you know the game. You have to sort of like when you're
Yeah,
not a
I've
developer,
looked for
you
this.
you
I've
have,
looked
you have
for
to
this
guess.
answer.
Yeah. So eventually they are going to have to update from 2019 because 2019 is going to get out of date. And there's an issue there with how shaders work. This is as I understand it. There's probably more details. There's an issue there with how shaders work, where it's old content is going to kind of break. As far as I understand, when that happens, don't know when it'll happen. When it happens, all you have to do is you don't have to change your world at all. You just have to re-upload it. You just have to go into your Unity editor and say, okay, I need to take whatever I have here and just do another upload. And then on VRChat's side, they'll be able to handle the thing that's broken. So I don't think it should be too big of a deal. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anything you can do or anything that you really need to do to prepare for it. You just need to be ready for when it happens to go back and build another version of your world. However, actually, you know what? All that I just said, I think that doesn't matter, because I think that's only true for worlds that were released before like a few months ago. Because a few months ago, they knew this was happening and they started changing the pipeline for builds so that it wouldn't affect new worlds that were being created. And of course, all of you folks coming over, creating worlds for the first time, including you, Artsy, since you built, the penthouse here so recently, I think you're protected. I think you're all set. I actually think you don't have to worry about it at all. Again, don't hate me if I'm wrong.
Just in case, like definitely keep your URP versions, right? That you have over.
Oh yeah, always back up.
Yeah,
always back up. Again, a shout out. I mean, I use Plastic. Plastic has a cloud service. It's free for up to like 5 or 10 gigabytes. I don't use. I mean, that's not a lot of data. I guess
I'm right through. One project.
My projects are
10 gigabytes.
Yeah, my projects are small because I'm a programmer. But yeah, it's reasonably priced for. I think it's reasonably priced for more than that. But yeah, it's a cloud backup. You can synchronize your project to the cloud, and then and just every change,
Unity. Right.
Sort of.
Well, not every version of Unity.
It's not great. I wouldn't. They're working on integrating it. I personally, I avoid using the window in the editor. I actually use the separate client. The functionality is supposed to be exactly the same. I just prefer the client, and I've heard people have. There are some bad stories of stuff that's happened with the window in the editor. So yeah, that's a whole separate thing. But there are other options. There's like again, this is another example of like what I was talking about with like you're treated like a game developer, right? And you have to use these outside tools that game developers are comfortable using, like Plastic or Perforce or GitHub. So these are all tools that are kind of technical, but they do, they'll help you and make your life easier for things like backing up.
Awesome. Great questions, guys. Great content. Thank you, Joker. These are great. So we went to edit and we went to preferences. Then we changed the cache server mode. So now should I go ahead and I'm not going to publish it, but I just want to show them what that next page looks like, where the camera pops up.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, so build and publish. Wait, I should have put last build, right?
You're too late. You already clicked the button.
My bad.
I almost said something. It's all right. It's all right.
Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake. You're learning. Fred, Boogie reviewed the process of converting non-URP once more. Oh, that was quick. I didn't have much stuff in this build. That's why I picked this one. Yeah, so this is the configure world page. You can type in the name of your world. So when it says configure world, this is the first time that it's being uploaded. So the name of your world, the description, you can include content warnings, up to 5 tags, and then the this button down here says the above information is accurate and I have the rights to upload this content, we'll give you the upload button. Now, this upload image here, this is going to be the image that people see, your thumbnail. So if you want to change this, you can go back to your scene tab, click the VRC cam, and then move that camera to where you want it to be.
And this is where I usually use that hot keyboard shortcut you were using earlier, the Control-Shift-F, because that just puts it right how you're looking, so you can get it just right and then hit that.
So let's say I want it here, then I can do Shift-Control-F, and then it's
yeah,
correct.
beautiful. That's the good stuff.
All right, and then I can get I can do upload, and then it by default, right? It's a private world. Only
unless you check that checkbox next to the where it says publish to community labs. Right. And we can save explaining what community labs is for a little bit later. But basically, unless you check that, then what you're creating is a world that is only you can access, sort of. Okay, so when you upload worlds without making them public, they're not private. There's no such thing as a private world, really. There's only unlisted, and it's the same as YouTube videos, right? So for people who've uploaded YouTube videos, you can upload a video as unlisted, and nobody's ever going to see it unless you give them the link. And it's the same with worlds, because you can give people a link to your world, and they can go on the website and access it that way. But otherwise, they'll never see it.
So that brings a question, right? Because when you make a world public, or you send it through community labs to become public, anybody in VRChat can create their own instance of that, correct?
Correct, exactly.
And once it's public, can you go back to private?
Yes, you can go back.
Okay. So just like, certain builds
back to
like
unlisted.
that build, back to unlisted. Certain builds you might not want everybody in VRChat to know about, right? So you wouldn't want to send every world, straight.
That's a very common thing to have. Like I got music venues that I go to, like every other week, and it's a non-public world. You go there and they get you in there. The good news is with unlisted worlds is you can create an instance and you can make the privacy level like friends plus. Which just means all of your friends can join you, and when friends join you, the friends of friends can join you. So it's not quite public, but it's really open. But you don't have to publish the world. And so there are events I go to where the world has never been published, but everybody knows the world because they join the instance when it's when the event is happening. So
they can't put it in their favorites.
Exactly, they can't favorite it. They can't favorite it, but if you're really technical and tricky, you can get the blueprint ID, and using the blueprint ID, you can navigate to the web. It's a whole technical thing I won't really get into, but just remember that unlisted is not private. If somebody visits your world, if somebody visits your world once, just like a YouTube link, they can get back there if they really want to.
Gotcha. Good to know. I think that's good for everybody in here to know. All right, so I'm not gonna go through the process of uploading this fully, but this is the last stage before it gets uploaded.
And one last tiny thing before you move on from this, all of this information you're putting in on that configure world screen, that you can change that anytime you want by going to the website. You log into your account, you click on your worlds, you can click on that world, you can change the name of the world, you can change the number of people who go in, you can change it from private to public. So that screen is not a final say, and you don't have to go back and rebuild your world just to change those little things. You can just use the website.
Can you go over maybe just the so we saw the player capacity at 16.
Yeah.
Is that something that they recommend when you upload? Because I've seen different numbers for different builds.
Yep. 16 is so 16 is an okay number for, I think that came about with Quest 1, because, and this is true in Altspace too, I'm sure, when you get more, on the first version of the Quest, when you get more than 20 people in a room, or more than 16 or something, you start to get it gets laggy, and you get these weird sound issues. I'm sure you guys have seen this kind of thing before. Quest 1, as we all know, recently stopped being supported, really. So like, with apologies to folks here who might still use the Quest 1, I know I still have my Quest 1 hanging over there. I sometimes use it. You can probably not support it because most people who use a Quest these days are using a Quest 2, and that supports way more than 16 people in a room. I would say treat it like AltSpace. You know, I remember going to Club Premiere and having 40 people there, and it worked fine. Yeah, treat it like AltSpace. So I would set the I would set the player limit so that you can have a maximum. If you're expecting to have an audience of Quest users, I would set it so that the maximum is 40 people. Now, there's something tricky here to keep in mind. The max number of users that you set is actually half the number. It doesn't tell you this, but it's actually half the number of the people who can actually get into the world. And also, I'll try to explain this. It makes a lot of sense when you understand it. But so if you had set it to 16, which is the default, the actual number of people that can go in is 32. And if you want, and so looking at it from the flip side, if you want to limit the number of people to 40, then you need to set the maximum to 20. And so the reason this works this way is because it wants to be different it's sort of silly because like for unlisted worlds, it makes no difference, but for public worlds. So imagine you're making a public world. Like, I'm in Penthouse right now, and this is public. Imagine you're making a public world. If you set it to 20, then it's going to be available. Like when you go in the world browser, like if I open up my menu right now and I look in the world browser and I look like, what are some public instances I could go visit? If the number goes above the limit that you set, then that instance will no longer appear in the world browser because VRChat says, okay, this is full. This has got a lot of users in it. We don't want to be putting more users in it because the world creator said that the capacity should be something like 20. Okay, but so it won't appear in the public browser, but any friends of people who are already in that instance can still join them. So like the limit is 20, and if you're the 20th person in there and your friend wants to join you, then that's totally fine. Like they can still join on you. It's just that the entire public community can't join. So it slows down. So like when it hits that cap, it just sort of slows down the traffic in to sort of make it more stable. Yeah, it's a little weird. I kind of wish they would do it like the opposite way. I kind of wish they would set it so that you set like, okay, I want 40 to be the hard limit. And I guess I didn't say this part, but then the hard limit is, if there are 40 people in there and your friend tries to join, it'll connect them and say, oops, sorry, this is actually full, and it'll automatically boot them out. But yeah, I kind of wish they did it the other way, where you set the capacity at the high capacity, and then it automatically just divided that in half and said, okay, we're going to remove this from the world browser when it reaches half, because it's confusing to explain. So I don't blame any of you if you think that's weird and confusing, because it is. But that's the thing to know, is that if you want your capacity to be 40, then you set the number of users to 20.
Gotcha. Good to know. Good to know. So I'm just gonna address a couple of chat. Boogie, I will go back through converting materials. Frederick, I do know that VRChat has a developer update that they release that you can read about what the roadmap is, right? Maybe Armani can put that in the chat. They're pretty good about updating the community about what's coming. Batty, I have not, other than the post that Vicky made in the group about Spatial World Jam, I don't know anything about that. Frederick, Armani just dropped the developer update for 2023 in the chat. Thanks for coming, Nicole. Let's see, Moody, are you still here? I think we lost her. All right, so if you guys don't have any questions about this last part, I'm just gonna redo the import process to show the shader conversion. I'm gonna find another one of my scenes. This one's really big. Hold on, I find a new Unity scene to bring in here. Yes, I will post the recording once it's done. Let's see, Kita, your the birthday build that I made for you is the smallest one on this list. So we're gonna do this one. All right, so this one, Sexy Cap's birthday build. All right, so the dreaded pink. All right, so
beautiful.
all of I hate this color. I hate this color specifically because of the URP update. You know, I was looking at this for 3 months straight. All right, so I'm gonna shift left click to select these materials all at once. And I'm gonna go to the inspector, and up here at the top, now you can't select everything, right? So if you select everything, you're not gonna get the correct options. So you need to just select the materials that are represented by these spheres, and go up here to the top to shader, and you can just choose standard shader. And so it brings the color back. Oh, Cap, this is definitely a VRC world. And then I can click around to find where my other shaders were. This was a water shader. And so I'm gonna click on standard until I import my new water shader. This one didn't have a material at all, so I'm just gonna drag there. But it's a really simple process. And then, you know, whatever was, you know, metallic, you can just click, or, you know, whatever is glass. With glass, make sure the metallic is all the way down and the specular or the smoothness is up. And then make sure it is transparent. And then you can change the alpha, like how much is see-through, right here. And then once I bake this, and put a reflection probe in here, then my shiny glass will look amazing. But that's about it. And then you just need to go find some really cool shaders. There's a lot, you know, the VRC prefabs is very, very helpful with finding shaders, water shaders, you know, shaders that make things move, cool stuff. Just have fun, have at it. Yeah, but that's it. Does that help you, Boogie? Awesome. All right, so this was very helpful. This is one other thing that I wanted to show you guys just with like moving things and trying to find things can be very overwhelming. I downloaded a tool called Everything. And so you can just type in everything to Google. It's a search window for your computer. Like it just helps you search for things on your computer. But what I did was I went up here to the search and I typed in .unity package so that I could find like a bunch of my Unity packages, you know, like sorry. Like here, I just went through and found, you know, where things are. So like if I'm looking for the Ori build, then I know it's in Unity projects under my E drive in the URP. And that's how I just found a bunch of my stuff pretty fast and easy. So that's another resource. But making sure, you know, like this is a good time for you guys to start making your backups if you haven't. Exporting these packages, putting them in categorized folders, whether that's clients, your personal builds, your testing builds, your fun, you know, whatever categories you have, you know, start storing those and organizing them, and then backing them up somewhere where you can, you know, cloud storage or another external hard drive or something. Just like definitely use this as a good time to find everything that you've made, and it will make your life so much easier once you're making worlds for other spaces. So
yeah, get organized. I'll echo what you said earlier, RC. This is, you know, get organized. Organize your projects, organize your files, know where stuff is. This is, like I was saying earlier, just, you know, to the extent folks are working with VRChat, just think of yourself as a game developer now, right? Because that's, you know, like maybe it's not full-fledged, but some of the really important stuff is you're a game developer, and you know, it's powerful, but you know, with power comes responsibility. keep your stuff organized, treat yourself well, keep your files hygienic, and you know, take things one step at a time. I've accomplished a lot, and I've, you know, had to say to myself a lot of times, just like, wow, I've got so many things that I need to do right now, but I'm just gonna pick one of them and do that now, and the rest will come later.
Yes. I've got so many of these packages. And the reason why I click on a package here, or I might choose a folder, I normally choose a package, is because I don't really need everything that I've ever downloaded from the Unity Asset Store to get this ready. And it can take up a lot of, you know, file sizes, like it take up a lot of space on your hard drives. But this consolidates everything you need in this scene to, you know, carry around with you to different projects. It can just be a lot if you just try to copy everything when you didn't actually use everything. So that's one way. All right, we got some more questions. We got Shoyo, curious about how many people in VRChat use Pyomi Tune shaders. I use Pyomi for avatars. I'm on her Patreon. But I know she does have, you know, Pyomi shader for worlds. Are you familiar?
Yeah, Pyomi is a big deal. It's all the same shader. It's whether you're using it for avatars or whether you're using for worlds. Okay. But the big thing there is
can't use it on Quest. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't have Android compatibility. It's a big, and this is an example of like a lot of tech has been put into making PC really sharp and really powerful. But you know, it doesn't always exist the same way. You've got options, I think. I don't know. Yeah.
It is a fantastic shader though.
Yeah, it's also the main way to support audio link. It has integrated audio link capability. By all means,
That's why it doesn't work at all on Quest, right?
may,
Like
well,
people
audio
that
link,
use her or use that shader on a
audio link works on Quest. You just can't use Pyomi
right.
to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. I would regard Pyomi as intermediate to advanced. If you're looking, you know, it's a great shader that you don't have to use. But if you can, then it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Can we talk about asset management? So because most of us will definitely be making PC and Quest versions, what's the best way? Like, do you suggest having 2 separate scenes, one dedicated to PC and one dedicated to Quest?
Honestly, this is something I haven't fully figured out. For now, I would say keep one scene and use that same scene to build for both Android and PC. Now, obviously, you're gonna have to make changes. Like if you use Pyomi on the PC version, then you're gonna every time when you want to build, you're gonna have to switch it to a different shader, and that's just one example. There are other things like that. There's things where it's just like, oh, you know, I want to have this in my PC build, but I know it's kind of expensive, and I'd rather not have it, and you know, lagging people in the Quest build. The best solution for that is Easy Quest Switch. That is available. If I remember, I think that's available. That's one of the packages.
I put it in here.
In VCC, yeah. It's also that's on the if you go to the VRC prefabs spreadsheet, it's on the must-haves tab right up front because it is, you know, it's pretty important. What Easy Quest Switch does is, I was afraid of it for a while because I was afraid it was doing something complicated, but it's not really that complicated. You're basically just giving it some instructions that it automatically, like when you change build targets, it recognizes and says, oh, it's a new build target. I got this short list of things that I got to get done. And that's stuff that is simple as basically you point to.
Is that me? Or is that anybody else?
Lost them again.
There.
Okay. It happened as soon as I switched scenes. So, well, this has been very helpful. Kip, I think that's a great idea to build for Quest first, and then go balls to the wall on, you know, PC. But I've definitely gotten locked in, like, ooh, shiny things. I want to see what all is possible on the PC side. And then I gotta revert back and take all of those shiny things out for Quest. But I get it. It's probably a good workflow. Hopefully we get Andy back.
I think I'm back. You hear me? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apologies once again. Battery died again. I thought it was full, but I was just wrong. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to finish up. Yeah, Easy Quest Switch. Play with it. It comes with some instructions. It's not too hard. It's another one of those things where it's like once you get your head around it, it's good. But you're essentially just telling it to automatically swap some materials for you or disable this game object. Yeah, you might have to go to. Is it not? If you go to VCC, is it?
Yeah, it's one of the ones that yeah, Easy Quest Switch is in here.
Yep. So I think it's under the window menu, maybe. Window Easy Quest Switch. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah. And then yeah. So basically, yeah. So you click setup and it automatically adds a little object to your scene that's invisible. You can make it visible if you want. It adds an invisible object that stores some data, which is just the list of things to automatically do. Again, whether that's like swap this particular material on this particular object or disable this object, and it makes it easy for you. My recommendation is to use it, but then kind of just do like spot checks. Like assume that it's working automatically, but then kind of go through the list of things you tell it to do, like, and maybe just here and there kind of look like, yeah, did it do it? Like, is this game object supposed to be deactivated actually deactivated? And just kind of check up on it, make sure it's doing what you expect it to do. But it's a big time saver. It's not very comprehensive, but it basically it's supposed to automate some of those things that you want to change between PC and Quest.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was intimidated.
It's not the
wasn't
best
exactly
solution. I wish there was a better solution, but it's, like a lot of things, it's the best we got right now. And that's, in the world of game development, that's how it is sometimes. Like the tool is technical, and it expects you to have some patience with it and be able to do some troubleshooting and recognize when things kind of go wrong. But that's the price
Gotcha.
you pay for having the power.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love what the community has done. Like, I mean, it's a very robust community, very creative, very innovative. It has not been lost on me as I've been exploring, world creation in VRChat, how vast this is. So yeah, a few bugs, few issues, it's nothing, there's so much more that you can do here, and so I'm excited to see what everybody on this call and everybody that's going to watch later, is going to do. So how'd we do? What do you guys think? Are you guys excited?
Amazing.
Scared?
Amazing. Amazing.
Awesome.
Oh, goodness. So much knowledge.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without Armani and Joker today.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to my wife who brought me cups of tea and a muffin in the middle, so I could keep going for a couple hours without being thirsty. Needing a snack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm just glad everybody knows. Everybody's got the chance to, learn what they need to know before March. I'm here for you guys, so feel free to ask questions in the group. You guys know I do private lessons, so if you guys go to my website and book a private lesson, you guys can do that there. A lot of people in this group have found that to be valuable. I do have a lot of work ahead of me, so my apologies if I am not as quick to answer, or
and just one more time from me before it's too late, RT. I just want to say thank you and appreciate you for the leadership that you're taking. When I saw the news that Altspace was sunsetting, I wasn't, my expectation was like, well, there's about to be a lot of chaos, and I'm going to do what I can to try and sort of grab people from the various parts of the community that I have contact with, and just start to plant some seeds to try and help people with whatever they need to do to make a new home. I thought it was going to be a lot of chaos, but I like you're already managing to turn that chaos into a much more organized thing with your leadership and your efforts, and I really appreciate that. That's such a big deal.
Oh, thank you. Nobody left behind,
In the Discord for you said Andy, you on what you on Discord? Who's Discord?
Yeah, so Daisy and others have made the Altspacers in VRChat Discord. So I'm in a few different Discords. I'm in the Altspacers in VRChat. I am in the Altspace official Discord. Let me see. I got a folder in here. I'm in VR Hangout, the VR Hangout Discord.
Trey, check the chat.
Okay.
Armani's dropped the link quite a few times. And Joker's ID on Discord.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Easiest way to find me is just I think go to Altspaces in VRChat and just ping me. Just do at Joker and you'll get me.
Yeah, I looked at Joker and they brought up another like a female.
You got to put the numbers.
Oh, that might be me. if it's a picture of Cleopatra from Clone High,
that was you then. Okay.
That's me.
Okay.
Yep. Joker. If it's Joker as Punk, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
my
That was you
account's just
then.
Cleopatra because I love Cleo.
Okay.
Um,
Alright.
Andy, I want to just maybe end the VR chat segment just on like what should people expect? Like if they don't know anything about VR chat, or there may be they have like hesitations based on like, you know, the avatar selection, or you know, the
Yep.
you know, trolling. Like what's something inspiring that you can tell people to kind of soothe that for them?
Yeah. I think, yeah, Altspace had a really good, like, honestly, Altspace had a really good thing going with how their event system and their moderation system, right? Like they curated the events. They made sure that the events that were up front and really advertised to people were things that were going to be safe and planned well and a good experience for people. And you all know, of course, like going into events in Altspace, there's always those moderators kind of like lurking around on desktop mode, you know, just, you know, stopping problems, maybe sometimes getting in people's way. I know like sometimes they annoyed people. So Altspace had all that going. VRChat doesn't have that. So public spaces they're moderated. You can keep yourself safe. There are tools that you can use to block people and like all that stuff that all these platforms have, but the spaces can sometimes be, you know, a pain. So I would encourage you to stick with friends. If you want to go into a public space, you know, have some friends to be with. Safety in numbers. You'll usually have a good experience, but if someone decides to come in and decides to troll, then you'll be a little bit safer. You got some friends. But that being said, most of the value, all the best experiences in VRChat, and it's the same with Altspace, is in like in a more private, like not private, but like a Friends Plus. Friends Plus is the backbone of VRChat. You and your buddies make an instance in a world that you love that's Friends Plus, and you start hanging out. Maybe you're watching a video, maybe you're playing some pool. Shout out to the pool table prefab. And then other friends start joining you because it's a Friends Plus. That's really the best way to do it. As for, yeah, like that's my best advice is join a Discord. Shout out to groups, new feature as of December. You can join groups and send notifications. It's kind of like Facebook groups. It's in development. It's kind of limited right now. But join Discords, join groups, stay connected. All of these beautiful people you've been connected with in Altspace aren't going anywhere. You can stay connected with them. You can go and do your things in instances. As for maybe just, it's probably also good to comment on just sort of the community that exists right now in VRChat. It's different. It's definitely different than the community in Altspace. You know, I spent time in Altspace because I was looking for different communities, and that's what I found when I went to Altspace. VRChat has, it would definitely be a mistake to say that VRChat is a sort of cohesive single type of community. It's a lot of different communities that are doing different things. There's music, there's theater. Shout out to the theater community that I'm involved in. There's lots of people just hanging out and working. There's really technical people who like to get together and just talk about making technical stuff. There's role playing, like I mentioned, the Star Trek role playing community. There's also fantasy role play. There's a lot of different stuff, but there is a bit like above all of that, there are some sort of community, like there's a regular kind of character to the community that you can kind of find. Some of it's not my favorite. Some of it's unhealthy norms that like I think it's all the better to call out. If people have expectations and have these weird norms that you don't like, that you think are that are not welcoming and not good, call it out. Like that's to the extent you can, to the extent you're comfortable. But also some norms that are really, really beautiful and wonderful. VRChat is, and I hope always will be, a really welcoming, comfortable queer space. It's got a lot of communities that are very supportive of the queer community and composed mainly of the queer community. Like I'll put it this way, a lot of the knowledge that I have about world building in VRChat comes from, people who are part of the queer community. I work closely with them. I know them on a personal level. I love them. I learn from them. Without them, I wouldn't have nearly as much of the knowledge that I have. So that's a great benefit. And it's growing in different directions. I alluded a little bit earlier. There's a Spanish speaking community. There are various Spanish speaking communities. So VRC Prefabs is an English speaking community. They've got a sister community that we're starting to connect with called, I'm going to try and roll my R correctly, Forjadores. which means forgers, which it's a Spanish speaking building community focused mainly in Mexico, but just generally Central and South America. There's the music community too. They have again, shout out to Club Luxor. So yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of places with a character that is always, I hope, always improving and always growing. And this moment right now, where alt spaces are looking for a place to be, it is my genuine hope more than anything else that this is a moment where the VRChat community can grow and benefit from the inclusion of all these new voices and new creative visions and new people.
Love it. Love it. Yo, we're here. We're here. Thank you so much, Joker. This has been fantastic. I'm going to go through a couple more questions, but one thing I definitely would love everybody here to do is to take a picture of you at your computer watching this Zoom and post it on social media. You guys can tag me, drop it in the group, let everybody know that we're good, like that we're taken care of, that we're welcomed in different parts of the metaverse, and that, if they want to join the VR Worldbuilder Collective, it is open for them. They want to join, the Discords on, that's helping people move over, that's available to them too. Let's just make sure everybody knows that, we're in here, we're doing the damn thing. So,
you can't take a picture of what?
Like, just take a picture of your, on your phone. Just take a picture of you in the Zoom call.
Okay.
Imani, I do know that transparency does work on Quest for like worlds, but not avatars. And am I right for that, Joker?
Whoops, sorry. Okay. Transparency on Quest.
It works on worlds.
Yes.
So like you can still have glass on worlds.
I think the better way to say that is, for the time being, there is a short list of shaders that are allowed to be used on avatars on Quest. People get confused and they think that limitation applies to other places, but it's a short list of shaders. You have to use this shader on your avatar, and none of those shaders allow for transparency. I hope that changes one day, because Quest 1 was really bad and not very powerful and couldn't do any transparency. So maybe one day, but for the moment, if you need transparency, then you're in Worlds, you're good. But on Quest, on avatars, you're out of luck. Lots of transparency on my eyelashes. You can't, I'm nowhere near the camera, but my eyelashes on this avatar are transparent.
Yeah, and we're, I'm gonna schedule another open studio that is specifically dedicated to avatar creation. I have also made avatars for VRC, both Quest and PC ready avatars, specifically to help, more people get into both sides of the fence. Representation is important. How you show up in the metaverse is also important to you. And so I want people to feel comfortable and be able to make themselves feel, their own avatars. And
I'll shout out too. There are already some creators out there. A good website to start with, I would say, is booth.pm. I know that there are some creators who are creating specifically for VRChat. They are creating, avatars with different complexion representation and hairstyles and everything. That's so important. You can find it, but you have to look a little bit harder. I know Chibi Rena is a channel I know of. Amith, is a friend of mine who's doing some of that work. There's a Discord. There's at least one Discord. The resources are out there, and they can only, you know, they can keep growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Rebecca, for that tweet. It's amazing. Let me retweet it. Let's see. Sorry, Zoe had a question about corporations, if they'll ever, you know, really accept being in VRChat.
Corporate. I'm not sure in what sense.
Well,
but
so let's say we have
yeah.
corporate clients, right, that commission us to build worlds. And you know, they've liked AltSpace. But if we want to bring them to VRChat, what we look at?
Yeah. This is a really fun question. Yeah. I can say I myself currently have a corporate client as I do world commissions for the programming side of things, and I have one corporate client. And I remember when I first met them, I said, I asked them, like, so why VRChat? And they kind of laughed. They're like, you know, yeah, this really isn't an enterprise platform. And I think that's the best way to say it. This VRChat's not really an enterprise platform, but you still do have corporate clients that have some interest in creating interesting stuff. Yeah, it's rough, but the interest is still there. The market is still there. The economy is still there. It's not as smooth as AltSpace or Rec Room or Spatial or something like that, but it exists.
How do people find events? Because they don't have a dedicated events page, right?
Yep, this is never stop complaining about this until they change it. Because yeah, there's no again, the group system that exists now, so it's a lot better than it was just a couple of months ago. But right now, if you want to organize an event in VRChat, you are planning a time and place, and you post about it on Instagram, you post about it on Twitter, you post it on Discord. You can create a group and send a group notification that way. That's not very powerful quite yet, but yeah, there's no such thing as an event system. And we've managed to create an entire music community with regular events every night of the week without using an event system. So where there's a will, there's a way, but boy, could they make it easier. So yeah, stay tuned.
Hey, Andy, could you drop the link to the Discord for that music community?
It's more like a billion Discords. However, there's one that you definitely got to know about it, and that's called VRChat Party Hub. Shout out to Captain Duck and the others who organized that. That's just that's a listing on Discord where every single day they go through and they post the information about the events happening. They've got a calendar. They also have a Twitter. So yeah, I'll drop some of those links in chat right now.
Armani is he's on it.
Yep, Armani. Thank you, Armani. Yeah, I've got a lot easier for you to do it.
Let's do some heart emojis for Armani. He has been working hard.
And I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll shout out just because I know a big part of the music community in AltSpace was hip hop culture, right? So the main event that we've got there is Hip Hop Day at Magenta. I brought up a couple times, one of my favorite events. If anybody, yeah, I'll go ahead and drop the link to that in for people who are interested in following up with that major. I think probably that's a good place for you to start too. I'll drop the link to that in chat.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, I think we're at 3 hours. I know y'all tired and hungry. Y'all ready to go? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I got worlds I need to convert.
I gotta go back and watch this.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you guys keep an eye out on the Facebook page. I'll post the link. Sounds good, y'all.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you
for everything.
Thanks for everything, for real.
Thanks again, Andy, for your time.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
No problem.
I want to
Can't wait to see what y'all do. I want y'all to start putting your builds in the group. I want to see what you guys are doing. I am gonna do a blowout mega tour for my worlds on AltSpace before March 10th. Just gonna go through everything I've uploaded. Have a good time.
Okay.
It's gonna be a long tour.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I got 2 spaces on VRChat. There's my penthouse. Feel free to make it your home. And I got my art gallery. There's a portal in my art gallery. In my penthouse to get to my art gallery. And more coming soon. So.
All right.
Sounds good, y'all. All right,
All
I'm about to
right.
stop this recording.